Welcome back to The Explainer. Have you ever actually stopped to think about what happens in the massive spaces we all abandon when the sun goes down? Today, we're diving straight into the psychological and physical realities of working while the rest of the world is fast asleep. We've got three first-hand accounts that perfectly capture the unique, frankly terrifying vulnerabilities of the night shift. And look, this isn't just about things going bump in the night. It's really about the very real structural isolation that comes with occupying these massive empty spaces entirely on your own. Picture this. You're sitting completely alone in an eerily quiet break room, hours deep into a night shift. Suddenly, a heavy thump right next to you shatters the silence. You snap your head up, and a face instantly darts away from the small glass window. As our first worker put it, I swear I saw a face and everything just shifted out of sight. Honestly, that chilling realization sets the perfect tone for what we're looking at today. And you know, this perfectly illustrates exactly why these setups are just so unsettling. Think about your normal day shift, right? Bustling environments, plenty of natural light, safety in numbers. It feels secure. But the isolated night shift, it literally strips all of that away. You're left with utter darkness, this heavy, eerie silence, and extreme physical vulnerability. When you are the only breathing soul in a building designed to hold thousands of people, every single echo becomes a massive red flag. All right, let's dive into case one, the school custodian. So, this guy was tasked with resetting classrooms between 8 p.m. and 4 a.m. He's existing in this completely solitary loop inside a huge remote high school. And what really made it worse was this false sense of security. See, the school used automatic mechanical locks, meaning doors only open with a keycard and they lock immediately right behind you. Because the building was essentially a fortress, they didn't have on-site security guards. He was completely alone. And that closed system is exactly why it was so profoundly horrifying when he's cleaning his fourth classroom of the night and hears a loud, metallic thud echoing from the other side of the building. In a sealed environment, a noise like that, it really only means one thing: you aren't alone anymore. So, he tries to rationalize it, right? He brushes off the noise, shakes off that terrifying break room encounter from earlier, and heads down to the basement to fill up his mop bucket. But that's when things really escalate. He hears footsteps, walking slowly down the hallway right above him. They come all the way up to the doorway at the top of the stairwell. And then, a figure slowly leans into the doorway, just enough to look down the stairs, makes direct eye contact with our terrified custodian, and then violently sprints away down the hall. You can probably guess the reaction. Total, involuntary paralysis. He said, "I was completely frozen. For 2 or 3 agonizing minutes, he literally couldn't move a muscle. When he finally snapped out of it, he bolted straight to his car and called the cops." But here is the wildest part. The police arrived in minutes, searched the place, and found absolutely no trace of an intruder. And the cameras, they were only positioned at the exits, so they captured nothing at all. Moving right along to case 2, the Wyoming travel stop. Now this case shifts the danger from sort of a creeping dread to a very direct physical threat. We're moving from a school basement to a remote highway. A typical gas station is usually pretty busy, well-lit, part of the town. But this Wyoming travel stop, it was located exactly at the halfway point between 2 small towns, 4 hours from the next major city, just surrounded by miles of flat land. At night, looking out the window was literally like staring into a solid curtain of pitch-black darkness. So you can imagine the attendant's absolute shock when he's checking inventory, hears absolutely 0 cars pull up, and turns around to find a man standing completely silent right behind him. This guy has this hollow, empty stare. He pays in cash for a shower room and heads in. After 30 long minutes, the attendant gets worried and goes to check on him. He finds the door wide open. The shower is running, but the guy isn't in it. Instead, he's just facing the wall, staring at himself in the mirror, fully clothed. When the attendant cautiously asks if he's okay, the man just locks eyes with him through the mirror, turns, walks right past him out the door, and vanishes into the dark without a car. Well, if you think that's strange, let's break down the absolutely terrifying sequence of events that unfolded the very next night. At 2 a.m., the attendant goes outside to clean the gas pumps. He happens to glance back through the store window and spots the exact same man hiding in the pitch-black back hallway. Looking at the timeline, it escalates insanely fast. From the bizarre mirror staring the night before, to somehow sneaking back inside completely unnoticed, to the horrific climax, dousing that same shower room in lighter fluid and setting it on fire. The attendant obviously rushes inside to confront the guy, but the intruder just gives him this wide, creepy smile and points to the raging fire in the shower room. Survival instinct kicks in, the attendant grabs a towel, runs into the room to smother the flames before the whole gas station blows up. And then, the doors slam behind him. The smiling intruder trapped him inside a burning room covered in lighter fluid. Miraculously, the door only locked from the inside, so he could eventually get out. After a few terrifying seconds of the arsonist holding the door shut from the outside, he just randomly let go and bolted back into the wilderness. The attendant put out the fire, sure, but he quit on the spot the second the police left. And honestly, who could blame him?
All right, let's get into case 3, the corporate security guard.
This final one is perhaps the most psychologically terrifying of them all. We are stripping away the remote or rundown settings and placing ourselves directly into the pristine, dead silence of a luxury corporate plaza. Let's walk through this timeline of creeping dread. At midnight, the guard is on duty and spots a motionless figure down by the property's private lake on the cameras. Following protocol, he goes outside to investigate, walking through these winding bush-lined paths. Finds no one, so he heads back inside, locks the door securely behind him, and goes up to his third-floor security room. But at 12:20 a.m., out of the corner of his eye, he catches movement on the monitors. The trespasser wasn't gone at all. He had actually used the guard's brief outdoor patrol as a window to slip inside the locked building, and was now standing entirely motionless on the third floor.
The psychological tension here is it's agonizing. The guard is sitting alone in his office and realizes the intruder is standing motionless right outside his specific door. He's facing a terrible dilemma. If he hits the loud main alarm, the noise might panic the intruder and force a violent reaction. So instead, the guard relies on a silent auto police notification. What follows is an agonizing 4-minute wait in total silence. He is just watching a silent man on a screen, knowing the only thing separating them is a few inches of wood. In the absolute final minute before the police arrive, the man finally opens the door to the security hallway and disappears from the camera's view. The guard is just trapped inside his room, listening to the heavy silence, waiting until he finally hears the commotion of police officers outside his door. They arrested the intruder right there. He had been waiting right outside the guard's door until the very last second, and when they searched him, they found him with a metal hammer. Just let that sink in for a second. Which brings us to our conclusion, the lingering trauma. When we really look at all 3 of these grounded, real-life accounts, the big takeaway is the lingering psychological trauma. These workers, they didn't just experience a quick jump scare. They were forced to confront the absolute, terrifying vulnerability of being entirely alone in the dark, completely reliant on security systems that ultimately failed them. Which leaves us with a final, pretty unsettling thought to take away from this explainer today. As the rest of the world safely sleeps and a few solitary workers walk the empty halls of our schools, our gas stations, and our offices, who else is wandering out there in the dead of night? Thanks so much for hanging out with us, and as always, stay curious.